A couple of years ago, I was walking around London on my own, looking for interesting things to see that weren't buses, theatres, or small branches of Starbucks, when I discovered a small brass plaque outside a wine shop. It read, Texas Legation. In this building was the legation for the ministers from the Republic of Texas to the Court of St. James, 1842 to 1845, erected by the Anglo-Texan Society. So recently, I finally did the research and discovered that it was the tip of an iceberg. The mouth of a rabbit hole, and probably another cliche I can't think of right now, which is why, if you'll allow me, I'd like to tell you the story. Okay, let's start with history. In the 1840s, the Republic of Texas was pushing through its short but sweet life as an independent nation, while struggling under threat from Mexico, who wanted it back, and the United States, who were in an annexee sort of mood. They thought that building international connections would help keep the country afloat. So in 1842 they set up legations in Washington DC, Paris, and in a small office above a wine shop in London. Little did they know that Britain was actually on the side of Mexico. It's a curious part of London where the legation ended up, right next to iconic places such as Buckingham Palace, St James's Palace, and Cafe Nero, but one of those might be new. The wine shop has 2 acres of cellars which go underneath the entire street and adjoins the smallest public square in London, called Pickering Place, and it was home to bear baiting, public duels, and Napoleon III living in exile, plotting his return to France. The previous tenants of the room upstairs were running a brothel, so when the legation wanted to move in, I'm sure the wine shop would have jumped at the chance for some more discerning clientele. But they weren't there long. When Texas joined the United States just 3 years later, the legation's staff shut their doors, raised a glass of expensive wine, and left the country without paying their rent. And that was that. But there was still one piece missing. Who put the plaque on the wall? What was this Anglo-Texan Society? Oh boy, we're just getting started. In 1953, author Graham Greene and producer John Sutro met 2 Texan women at a hotel in Edinburgh. They took a bit of a fancy to them and, as a joke, decided to start an Anglo-Texan Society. After talking about it for a bit, they wrote a letter to the Times. Written during one of several rounds of black velvets on the train home, their announcement said the society was to build cultural and social links between this country and the state of Texas, and establish a special premises in London for visiting Texans. When Greene and Sutro got back to London, they went their separate ways and forgot all about the letter. Surely no one would join such a society. Greene was working in Kenya when the phone rang with some interesting news. Sutro, back home, was amazed to have received over 60 letters asking about the society, some from very influential people like Sir Alfred Bossom MP and Samuel Guinness of Guinness. Nothing could stop the Anglo-Texan Society from going from strength to strength. I had no choice but to pursue, as the society had somehow launched itself of its own volition. So, the Anglo-Texan Society was born. One of their first gatherings was a huge barbecue at Denham Film Studios. 1,500 people attended. London red buses drove round with their boards reading Texas from Piccadilly. Beef was cooked over fire for 36 hours, and 20 gallons of sauce was donated by master barbecuer George Kelly. A few years later, Graham Greene handed over the reins of the presidency to Sir Alfred Bossom MP, because Graham Greene resigned on April Fool's Day. Sir Alfred seemed delighted to be running the society, and he didn't put any pressures on anyone. They met 4 times a year for a party at his house, where the members would eat imported Mexican food and celebrate Britain's history with the Lone Star State, and every year they had a formal dinner in the House of Commons. One US newspaper commented, "New Yorkers will undoubtedly find it amusing that a group of Britons should organise an Anglo-Texan society, but the fact remains that no Britons have yet bothered to organise an Anglo-New Yorker society." The society got more and more active throughout the 60s, giving awards for building Anglo-Texan relations, hosting an event attended by Prince Philip, and a Texan guest speaker at their annual dinner received cheers, declaring all 200 people attending as honorary Texans. When visiting Texas, and greeted with a brass band rendition of God Save the Queen, Sir Alfred Bossom met then-Governor Price Daniel Sr., who loved the society and became a patron and used it to build connections with the UK. Governor Daniel reinstated the Navy of Texas, and then seemed to develop a bit of a habit of declaring people as honorary admirals. I read a story about 2 serving Navy men who were invited to a dinner, and they were quite shocked to realise that none of the admirals around them at the table had ever been to sea. Ever excited by the society, Governor Daniel began researching Texas history with Britain and wanted to commemorate it. Which is why in 1963, the society's key achievement was putting up a brass plaque outside a wine shop at number 3 St James's Street, London. Pictured here, Daniel is proudly unveiling the plaque after 3 years of planning. and using a handkerchief because someone had removed the flag they were going to use. Sadly, the 60s were the final days of the society at its best. Sir Alfred passed away, and the spark seemed to disappear. In the 1970s, one of the presidents said that Britain's entry into the common market had turned the eyes of many away from our special relationship with the USA. In turbulent times, everyone was too busy and distracted to be part of a club, concerned with nothing but dinner parties and speeches. So, in '79, at a special meeting, they voted to disband. The society only performed one more action. In 1983, it was the Texas Republic's 150th anniversary. Former members of the anglo-texan US branch, and wanting to mark the sesquicentennial, yeah, I am proud of knowing that word, they banded together, dressed up like cowboys, and headed to the wine shop in London, and, using old Republic of Texas bills, they finally repaid the rent. They left in clean conscience, and the wine shop, still going strong, commissioned a new bourbon called the Texas Legation. The brass plaque at Pickering Place is now all that remains of the Anglo-Texan society, and a reminder of a time when, just for fun, was as good a reason as any to do something. A monument to the memory of a club built on a friendly appreciation of a distant land, and sparked by a joke on a train on a drunken whim. Unless you count the replica given by the wine shop to the Texan governor in the 90s, or the one from the governor to the British consul in 2013. As far as known, neither of these were unveiled with handkerchiefs. Hey there, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this at least half as much as I did. I travelled to London 3 hours on the bus just to get a selfie with this plaque and get the clips for the video, so I hope it was worth it. This is my first video on this channel, and I've got plenty more lined up, so I hope you'll consider subscribing. That would be lovely. And I'm always on the lookout for new topics like this, so if anyone has any strange stories, bits of history, bits of science, anything, please let me know. I'd love to learn about it. And again, thank you so much for watching. I like to keep my end screens short and sweet like the Texas Republic. Oh, burn. Thank you again. Bye.